And it is Sunday. It's Free Talk with Miss V, and we're going to put Dedra on because she's Free Talk with Dedra's. Dedra.
I was wondering if you were going to remember that.
No, I just now this minute remember it's Dedra, and I wrote D-E-E-E-E-E just to remember.
Exactly. It's literally pronounced Dedra and not Dedra.
And she's such a superhero.
Thank you.
So we have the superhero on, and it's her turn. So take it away, Dedra.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. B. Yes, thanks for all of you guys to be here today. We really missed you last week. I want to say that straight off the bat. But I'm so happy you're here for the discussion about superheroes. I mean, I think you guys and I kind of share that generation that just there's something about superheroes that makes our hearts pump a little faster and we get excited. We're like, there was something in our childhood that makes us sort of happy and excited when we hear the Superman music or we hear the Batman theme song come on and that sort of thing, right? I can't be alone in that feeling. But I'm not sure about the generations that followed us. They're kind of the way they talk about it's like, come on, that's kind of gone, and while movie ticket sales might reflect that they're a little skeptical and they kind of like the concept of the anti-hero a little more, I think that from what I've read, comic book sales have if anything shot through the roof. So what do you guys think?
I think you're onto something. I do think the younger audience these days is not enamored as much with superheroes as we were back, especially when we were kids. The big movie sales numbers for superheroes movies is probably not millennials and youngers. It's boomers like us. And Gen X.
We're not boomers. Our parents were boomers, for one thing. We're Generation X. Thank you very much.
Gen X.
You speak for yourself.
Oh, sorry, Mr. B. I forgot we have a boomer on board.
Yeah, I think we're not boomers by just 1 year, though. But yeah, today I think there's just so much information overload that back when we were younger, entertainment was where you found it, and normally it was outdoors, playing in the woods or on your big wheel, riding around.
Totally.
Nowadays, and the internet and 24-hour TV and several hundred TV channels, there's always something on TV to watch. And I don't think that the reading and comic books and graphic novels just don't have the appeal that instant entertainment on the internet has today. And that's kind of where we kind of latched on to superheroes because we were looking for adventure, and reading adventures and comic book adventures every month when they came out. We look forward to it. Nowadays it's just meh. I can go find something else.
Yeah. So we're spoiled for choice a little bit. I think that's a very valid point. What do you think, Richard?
I remember watching Batman on the TV back in the 60s. Now that dates me. Maybe I'm a boomer then. And we used to talk about it and reenact it at school the next day. And I mean, I was at primary school. I was about, I was 6, 7, 8 years old, I guess. And I don't know now, certainly when my children were at school, they didn't do that sort of thing, as far as I can remember, because as you say, there was so much else that they could watch. I saw the first Superman movie in 1978 with Christopher Reeve, and to be honest, it blew me away with the special effects at the time were something amazing, and the cinema was packed. We had to queue to get in, and I don't know, I haven't been to see a superhero movie for quite some time. I wonder now if perhaps some of the franchises haven't been done to death. with so many sequels and offshoots, and it becomes a bit confusing. And unless you keep up with it all, I wonder if it's not a bit too much of an overload, and perhaps we just need to start looking at something else instead.
Right, right. What do you think, Mr. B?
Well, the
I
article
agree
you
with
sh-
that,
the
actually.
article you shared with us was asking like, or right away illustrating the fact that our superhero is dead, and if we have a pocket of kryptonite killing them off, what is the kryptonite? Was it really the lack of interest, or was it really the internet, or was it really cinematography, which is nowadays so many amazing things can be done. So it becomes super real. And so the question is, what's killing off the superheroes that we knew, and what's replacing them? Because I don't think there's a lack of superheroes. I think there's just a different set of superheroes that we didn't know before, or that every one of the comic book characters, we're like, oh, wait a minute, who was that? You know, if there was another guy that's turning into ice, I couldn't remember who that was. And so I would watch the movie until I see if I can relate to the DC comic or the other comic, which character that really was. You know, so I don't think my pocket is full of kryptonite. I just think I'm looking from a different perspective now.
You know what? I think, when you said finding something to relate to, that was probably the key phrase. I mean, just like Richard said, when you guys were little, you used to reenact scenes, from the TV shows and the movies and everything. I know Rodney and I used to pretend all the time, I mean, when we played, we would pretend to be superheroes, and we would pretend to be, knights in shining armor on our bicycles,
Right.
Riding like they were horses, and we're drawing our swords and stuff like that. I mean, we played, and we had our imagination was outside, and but now it's totally different. So I think to stand out, superheroes now have to be flawed. What do you think? I mean,
That's
they
a very,
have to have some
I'm
kind
going to
of
say it real quick. That's a very good term, because we need flaws to relate to humankind. And you have a superhero who can do things that there's no way I can do that. Then you're not going to associate your mind with him or her.
Exactly. What's that new superhero? Now there's a the Moon
Moon
Knight
Knight,
or something
Moon
like
Knight.
that.
Yeah.
He's like, he has multiple personality disorder, does he not? I mean,
Yeah.
so I mean, I think that's a good example. What do you think? I mean, this guy is totally pulling off superhero, magic and stunts and feats and all, but he has many personalities that he's doing this under. And he's also being manipulated in some ways by the darker forces. So it's all kind of more gray now. It's not as black and white as it used to be. Like,
Yeah.
anyway.
Well, Moon Knight really has been around since the 70s, as I recall.
Really?
And yeah,
know that.
and even back then, though, I don't think too much emphasis was put on the disability aspect of it. Back then, he was a superhero. He had, you know, he was basically possessed by a spirit of a former CIA operative.
Oh,
So it was really just to, build him up into the normal superhero trope that people back then were identifying with. Nowadays, just to get someone interested, I think that's why they kind of play on the flaws so that more people can identify, especially the younger generation, where, flaws are accepted and, elevated, and, they really have a sympathy for those kind of things, or an empathy. And I think that's why we're starting to see a lot of superheroes that have these disabilities, like Daredevil. He's blind.
yes. Great
And
example.
quite a few of the other, like the Netflix series, when they were doing some of the Marvel superheroes, um, you know, one was a former convict, one is an alcoholic, one is, blind. That they all have some sort of flaw that people kind of latch onto to make them, I don't know, like them more or just pay attention more.
Exactly. Right. More relatable, maybe, like
And that's the
Mr.
one
B
that
said,
keep coming to
something
my
like,
mind.
yeah,
Relatable.
exactly. Because one expression I hear my son say a lot, for like, say, writing the perfect female character, like say Wonder Woman, she might be seen as a Mary Sue. That's have you heard that as writers, you guys? I mean, a Mary Sue character is like a
Right.
perfect female character. There's absolutely nothing wrong with her, zero flaws. She's perfect in every possible way, always in a good mood, always sparky, happy, energetic, powerful, always on the side of right, never gets tempted by the wrong. So I think characters like that have become boring.
Right.
That's why they named her a Mary Sue. And I forgot what the name of the boy character would be for that, the Larry Stew or something like that. If Abdullah was here, he could tell me.
Yeah, but it's not just comics either, and TV series, even in books and graphic novels, and even video games. Um, you're starting to see more characters that have disabilities, but also alternate lifestyle characters. Like same-sex couples, and
Yeah.
you know, uh, LGBTA, and all of this is now pretty much in modern literature, modern video games, and it is almost expected now. So
it's good to reflect more on the makeup of society, as opposed to having one person who's maybe from somewhere else or has something that sets him apart. It's someone that you can hero worship, but can you relate to?
Sure.
So to have someone that could be the person living next door makes it a lot more feasible and a lot more relatable.
Right.
And probably provides a better source of entertainment, because it's more meaningful. Now everyone can see everything all the time, so there's a lot less mystery involved, and you've got to work a bit harder to make something interesting.
Yeah.
Right.
One thing I do like is what's called the secondary or junior character are being highlighted more in what I observed, because I saw a program the other day. It was the movie was about Kato. Was Kato one of the characters in
Green Hornet?
And Green Hornet.
For the Green
and
Hornet,
so the whole thing was about the dynamic and the power and abilities and the skills of Kato. And I'm like, wait a minute, who was supporting whom? Was Robin the real hero that was supporting Batman? Was Kato the real guy? Was the junior people was it what's the thing? Oh gosh, I almost forget either a Bonanza or the one who rode the horse. Who was really the one giving the full support?
The Lone Ranger and
the Lone Ranger and
Lone Ranger, yeah.
So if you keep pulling out Tonto's story, you might realize, oh my God, he was one of the real heroes there.
Yeah, whereas the sidekick is usually the real hero.
Sidekicks are great people to write, actually. If you can invent a good sidekick for your main character, they're a wonderful foil and a wonderful source of inspiration for the main man. And as you said just now, it's hard to tell sometimes who is the sidekick and who's the hero.
Right. And so in our modernity in 2022 or whatever year they start changing over in some aspect or bringing things to modern television, I felt that too shows that certain heroes didn't die, because it makes us now as the audience start looking to question who really is the hero. Is it mom or dad? Is it Lone Ranger or Tonto? Is it Batman or Robin? We can question it, and it brings a curiosity that says, I don't think the heroes are dying, and I don't think our pockets are full of kryptonite. I think we're expanding our perspective to see things differently, and that's what's going on. Who really are the hero?
Right.
And, I mean, that's my take, just Mr. B's take. That I think it's just somehow our perspective is looking. And I would like to go back to my days and see if well, I always thought Jerry was absolutely the hero compared to Tom, Tom and Jerry. but I like how it's going, and I don't want a hero here on Earth to be so heroic when we have some local heroes in our own homes and in our own presence, and can do things that we can do. If they do everything that we cannot do, then it's not heroic, it's magic, or it's added abilities or something.
They're Mary Sue's, right?
Right.
Yeah.
You can't be so perfect, and you can't do it alone. That's the modernity of it too. You can't do it alone. You need a sidekick. You need help to accomplish all of those goals. So everyone.
I think you bring up a great point, actually, because our society is so much more global now as well, because of being connected all the time to other cultures, countries, even international content, and books and videos, series on Netflix. I mean, all the international content. I mean, we really do think in a much more like expansive, kind of way about this. So it isn't just sort of a cultural, one-sided thing anymore. But does it make you guys sad though? Honestly, I mean, sometimes when I think about it, I mean, I totally get it. And I think we're right, in our analysis of this, but does it make you sad, to think that maybe our kids, are they missing something by not, going outside and, strapping a cape around your back and pretending like you're a superhero with powers and everything, and you're rescuing the people in danger? And what do you guys think?
Yeah, it really, it doesn't really make me sad. And in fact, it kind of relieves me because, back when I used to put on the cape, I was usually jumping off the roof, and, and nowadays I wouldn't want my kids or grandkids, emulating what I did when I was a kid, playing like I was a superhero. But still, it's good to promote imagination in children.
Oh my gosh,
And I don't think that, the entertainment that they consume on a daily basis on the internet or Netflix or the Disney Channel, I don't think that gives them the same creativity and fulfillment that we had. But then again, that could just be my perspective. I mean, maybe it is, but I just don't see how that fulfills, their creativity or their imagination.
Right.
Just watching the same reruns over and over on Netflix.
There's a danger of seeing everything and then not actually wanting to go and try and do anything because you've seen it done.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. That reminds me of a saying that I heard somebody heard a character say in a recent series I watched, about the French before the French Revolution, the French aristocrats. And there was a character that literally said, "I can't remember the last time I was hungry." So I mean, do you enjoy eating if you're never hungry? Do you enjoy, I mean, does food taste as sweet? Maybe not. I don't know. I mean, maybe that's why, like, when we were little, we didn't really have all these choices. And like you said, Rodney, we didn't have that much to do. So we had to come up with our own stuff. So when we had a chance to go stand in queue, like Richard said, to see Superman, the original movie, and have our minds blown away, it was all we could think about for weeks after that, and we would come up with our own ideas, maybe for pretend games and, other characters that could be like Superman's best friends and stuff like that, and our kids, while they may not be in danger, I get that too, by the way. I totally get that. I don't know. It feels like they're sort of like those fancy aristocrats, and they're talking about how they're not ever hungry because they have so much.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I must conclude that the superhero and superheroism is not dead, and that I don't want to undo what we experienced, but I do not want to redo what the kids today are experiencing. And I loved being a kid, having nothing but imagination. but I don't know how to perceive nowadays, because I just always thought I don't want to have it any other way. I think things happen the way they're supposed to happen in the time that they're supposed to happen. Maybe,
Right.
maybe we're supposed to be indoors playing in a video game with a bunch of kids now, and we couldn't before. But the world has changed so much. I mean, so many weird things happen in school, and so many dangers, and so much. And I think instead of seeing superheroes, I became one. I just have to sit here and see if anyone will show up, and if the grandkids will show up and appreciate my heroism. But just I would not have it any other way than the way we had it. And so
No, I agree with you there. I think that is a good way to conclude, our discussion on this. It is what it is, and we change with the world, and what can we do? I mean, our parents had to accept that we were different. We were a different generation, and they literally had nothing. We seemed like we were spoiled for choices back then to them. So it's the same thing, I suppose, over and over. But I still think that there's nothing better than a great superhero story. They'll continue to inspire for generations to come, hopefully.
And I'm very glad that you write some of those. I'm very glad that Richard and I'm going to say Rodney or RJ, I'm glad that you guys are on, because it gives outlets for the imagination in other ways. Your books inspire. Your video games are just amazing, and I watched a movie recently where I couldn't
immersive.
I couldn't tell which part of it was animation and which part was real, and it's like, oh my gosh, the cinematography is amazing how they mixed the two, and so
so real now.
Gosh, it's wonderful, but those are new imaginations and new playgrounds and new superheroes in new ways, and I'm very excited for that, and I'm excited to be alive in a time where I can see all that personally.
That is true. That is true. So that's great. All right. Well, thank you so much, you guys. I mean, I suppose we're that unless you guys have anything else to say about superheroes, anything else? I mean, it was a wonderful time to be a kid, though. I mean, I still say it was a great time to be a kid. And if I had to choose, another time in life to be a child, I don't think I would have chosen today. I would have chosen exactly when I was born.
And that's my point. I don't want to grow up. I will stay a Toys R Us kid.
Well, I haven't stopped. I still read my comic book collection.
Me too. How about you, Richard? Have you grown up yet?
I've still got some of the old comic books from my childhood downstairs, and every now and again I have a flick through and wallow in the nostalgia.
It's wonderful, isn't it?
Yep.
Doesn't it take you straight back?
It does. I'm 7
time.
again. And,
yes.
and it's great. Yeah.
It's awesome. It's awesome. And I think there's something about us that's what makes people like us all sort of kindred spirits, because there's something about us that we can dial back to that time and draw from that imagination and come up with these wonderful new creations, these stories and video game ideas and fantastic books. Yeah.
And I don't do exactly that, but I try and get people to talk about it. I think as we get older, our heads are full of what Richard has, full of what Rodney has, full of what you have. And I want people to come and just say it all. I don't want you to perish with it in your head. Just come and talk about it. And so it's really, really a joy for me. And maybe I'm selfish. It's really a joy having you guys on Free Talk with Mr. B and Free Talk with Dedra Stevenson.
Oh, thank you. He said it right. Woo. All right.
All right. Until next week.
I was going to say, shall we wrap it up then?
Yes.
So
we'll see
yes,
you guys,
until next week, Free Talk. We never know who's going to do it, me or Mr. B. Shall we? Who's going to wrap it up? Shall it be me this time, or do you want to go? Okay. So see you next week then, and don't forget to share the link and watch and subscribe to YouTube to Mr. B's channel. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.